News. I am Ayub Abdikadir Abdi, day 16 of January 2020. In one end are President Uhuru Kenyatta and the ODM leader Raila Odinga with an enviable political clout. In the other is the Deputy President William Ruto, who is seen by the ODM party as unelectable. This is how events as they did in the 1970s when Kihika Kimani and Njenga Karume engineered a political plan to lock out then Vice President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi from succeeding Kenyatta Sr. And events in the ruling Jubilee Party equally mirror an imminent fallout. In the event that materializes, it means the party's political plan to rule the country until 2032 is a lost cause. Also tonight, President Uhuru Kenyatta makes up his cabinet and Mwangi Kiunjuri becomes the first casualty. And before the president warned Kiunjuri twice in public before the imminent cabinet reshuffle in the port city of Mombasa, the president equally warned the former agriculture CS.
Ule mkulima ambaye ametoa jasho. I promise you and I swear before God, you try that again and you'll see what is going to happen to you. Sisi hatutaki mchezo tena. Na ndipo nilisema waziri wa kilimo Bwana Kiunjuri, tujue ya kwamba sasa mchezo umeisha. Tafuta hawa watu ambao wanakula mali ya wengine, utuletee tufunge, ama wewe mwenyewe utakuwa na shida katika hiyo shida mambo.
Across the international scene, the Russian President Vladimir Putin makes sweeping constitutional changes, and the Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev has quit to pave way for the changes proposed by the president. The president has nominated little-known tax chief Mikhail Mishustin. But the opposition leader Alexei Navalny says there has been little done by Putin during his tenure and that this is a political plan to remain relevant post-2024 when his term comes to a close. On News Compass tonight.
Kwa hivyo tunamuuliza Deputy President wetu kwa heshima. Wewe umeshaguliwa kuwa msaidizi wa rais wetu. Tafadhali mpe heshima yake. Huyu wetu hata amejifanya sasa hata kama president hakuna. Huyu ni kama sasa ndio president. Wewe hukuchaguliwa president. Wewe ngoja wakati wako uchaguliwe president. Ukishaguliwa president kama Mungu atakubali, lakini kwa maoni ya Maina Kamanda ni ya kwamba Mungu akujalie usije ukawa president wa nchi yetu.
It is clear that the DP is hiding behind Prime Minister Raila Odinga and the BBI to fight the president and those public officers the president has entrusted with the power of helping him run the government. Ruto should have the courage to face the president instead of hiding behind ODM.
And how do you talk about democracy and you're not comfortable when other people meet? Is it fair that you are the only ones who are supposed to meet? So when other people meet, then you start asking questions.
The Building Bridges Initiative Task Force report remains an overwhelming political priority for the president and the ODM leader. The handshake continues to provoke passion across the country. But how will President Kenyatta and the ODM leader Raila Odinga bridge over the troubled political waters? Our sign anchor tonight is Joyce Wairemo. I am Ayub Abdikadir Abdi. This is the Primetime News coming up in the next 30 minutes. Welcome to the broadcast, and the short SMS code is 40920. A Nairobi court has allowed Sarah Wairemo Cohen, the main suspect in the murder of her husband Top Cohen, to pick her clothing at her Kitusoro home here in Nairobi County. Elsewhere, lawyer Nelson Harvey has implored upon the executive arm of the government to obey orders as a way of upholding the rule of law in the country. Our Courts Affairs reporter Jeff Khaimba has the details of the developments across the courts of law in Nairobi.
It's a sigh of relief for Sarah Wairemo Cohen, the key suspect in the murder of her husband Top Cohen several months ago. Sarah Wairemo, who had been restrained by the court not to step foot at her matrimonial home at Kitusuru, will for once appear at the home compound just to pick her clothes.
Our client having access to her matrimonial home and obtaining her personal effects, her clothes, her shoes, her handbags and everything to make her life comfortable, like a person who is presumed to be innocent until proven guilty. The court granted her order and she is now, the DCI has to organize the earliest opportunity where she can visit her home and collect her personal effects.
Accompanied by her lawyer Philip Murgwar, the Milimani Law Court, Sarah Wairimu, according to the ruling delivered by Justice Stella Mutuku, will also be allowed to pick her shoes and grooming tools. In November last year, Sarah Wairimu filed an application seeking access to her home to collect her personal effects. Some of the items she had sought to be collected include beverages, alcohol, electronics including music system and the television set, books, personal photographs, pictures, artwork and the files. Wairimu also sought the orders to compel DCI Judge Kinoti to release her personal motor vehicle. However, Justice Stella Mutuku declined to grant her the prayers.
All other issues regarding all her other property and property in the house shall await a deadline that has been given by the High Court, which is the 27th, for the police to conclude all their forensic investigations in the home. We are seeking orders that the DCI does not give the property to any other party unless ordered by the court. That is the application we have filed in court. Yes, of course we are apprehensive, so that is why we have filed the application. Yes.
Still in the corridors of justice, lawyer and the LSK presidential candidate Nelson Harvey has slammed the executive arm of the government for constantly disobeying the court orders. According to Nelson Harvey, both arms of the government have equal powers, and therefore the executive should desist from belittling the judiciary.
As you're aware, at the close of the year last year, budgetary cuts had affected the day-to-day running activities of the judiciary. We have 3 courts of appeal that have now been closed because of lack of funds and lack of human resource to man those stations. What is the result? We'll continue having a backlog of cases. Steps must be undertaken to ensure compliance. And if the individuals against whom court orders are addressed do not take the necessary action to comply, then we need to pursue it further to ensure that Article 10 of the Constitution as well as Chapter 6 is complied. Let them be declared unsuitable to hold public office.
Elsewhere, the Nairobi City County Governor Mike Songo has lost a case where he was seeking the court to stop an ongoing corruption case in which he is charged for looting 357 million Kenyan shillings. The lawyer Cecil Milan George Kidi had claimed the investigation by the Ethics and the Anti-Corruption Commission EACC were biased and instituted to settle the scores with the governor in the period leading to his arraignment in court in December, accused the EACC of witch hunt. The judge gave the DPP 7 days to file a reply before the parties to return to court on February 3rd for a hearing on the application for a 3-judge bench. Lawyers Milan Kidi were also allowed to amend the petition in light of the ruling that rejected an outright state of the criminal case. A reporter for Ebru TV, I'm Jeff Khaemba.
Now, operations at Kasarani Road in Mwiki have resumed after a 3-day demonstration that paralyzed transport in the area. Nairobi Senator Johnson Sakaja called on residents to come down after he revealed that President Uhuru Kenyatta has directed the Kenya Urban Roads Authority to mend the poor state of roads in the area.
Since Monday, residents of Mwiki had been demonstrating over the poor 2-kilometer road in the area. The road is currently in a pathetic state, with huge potholes making transport along the way cumbersome. The demonstrations led to the confrontation with police officers, leading to the loss of life and injury.
That the events of the past few days have been extremely unfortunate. We offer our deep condolences to the family of the man we lost in Kasarani. We hear there are 2 lives lost. The report from the police is different, but all the same, even one is too much.
5 police officers were injured after they engaged the angry protesters. However, there seems to be light at the end of the tunnel after Nairobi Senator Johnson Sakaja said the Kasarani road that led to protest will be repaired.
Very many people in Kasarani have not been able to go to work from Monday. Children have not been able to go to school. But our meeting has resolved as follows. And I want us to be very clear on that. Number 1, we have agreed with the Urban Roads Authority and with the engineers that in the next hour, in the next 1 hour, the contractor and the grader be on site.
This is not the first time there has been demos in the area. Commuters in the area were forced to walk all the way to Thika Road at the mercy of the rains.
That work must go on, and that is a direct directive that has come all the way from the presidency.
We knew after the rains, the roads would be bad, and we have committed 1.7 billion Ghana shillings in Nairobi. I just want to confirm what our senator has said. That money is committed. We have contractors already on the ground. And the one for Kasarani Mwiki Road, we knew that we required more resources. That is why we actually even budgeted for it separately.
Ebru TV.
Now, incoming Labour Cabinet Secretary Simon Chelugui has promised to look into the unemployment menace in the country. Chelugui addressed this when he officially took over office from the outgoing Cabinet Secretary of Labour, Ukur Yatani, following the cabinet reshuffle by President Uhuru Kenyatta on Tuesday. Our reporter Amelia Kisienya attended the press briefing and filed the following report.
Following the recent cabinet reshuffle that landed Simon Chelugui into the Labour dockets, has finally seen him swerve into action earlier today as he was handed over the helm of responsibility by the outgoing Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani. Simon Chelugui, in his first steps in the docket, has promised to ensure that unemployment menace in the country will be top of his priorities that he will tackle.
Where we are going to be dealing with employees, employers, and also looking for jobs and coming up with policies to protect, to secure jobs for our people. As you are aware, it's been we've been having challenges in employment in this country, and it will be our duty as a ministry to see how we promote policies that will create opportunities for our people.
Chelugui further noted that he will formulate policies that will protect and also secure jobs for Kenyans, especially the youth who are the most affected.
I would like to say, as you've advised, we'll employ alternative dispute resolution mechanisms. We'll employ mediation where we are dealing with workers and employers and together with government. We will champion the policies and the programs that you have already established while looking at opportunities for bettering the same.
Unemployment menace in the country has been a puzzle that has seen most Kenyans, especially the youth, seeking for alternatives such as suicide due to pressure of the high economy levels. Last year, a number of companies were declared redundant, leading to the closure and loss of more than 2,000 jobs for most Kenyans. Among the companies in question included Finlay Farm, East African Portland Cement Company, Nairobi Mayfair Hotel, and a number of Nakumatt supermarket branches across the country. According to the data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, the rate of job creation fell sharply from 910,000 to 841,000 between 2017 and 2018, with over 90% of this in the informal sector. Amelia Kisienya for Ebru TV.
Now, a family in Mikwa village, Chusa sub-county in Kitui County, is still struggling to come to terms with the brutal murder of their son. 29-year-old Sami Mudhui met his brutal death on Monday early morning when suspected Al-Shabaab militants attacked Kamuthe Boarding Primary School in Garissa County, where he has been teaching since 2018.
A somber mood evidently rents the air at this homestead. This is where Sami Mudhui once called home before his young life was abruptly cut short by terrorists. According to his father, Bernard Kimanzi, it is a big blow to the family as Sami was set to get married in April this year, adding that they are in a dilemma regarding what to tell the expected bride. The 29-year-old was a Teachers Service Commission employed teacher at Kamuthe Boarding Primary School, his first post. More disturbing for the family is that armed men would attack an innocent and an unarmed person, as according to his father, Sami was asleep before the heavily armed militia struck at around 2 a.m. on the fateful day, robbing him and his family a young soul.
Kitajerea kuamkia kazi na kawawa na watu ambao walikuwa na bunduki, na yeye kama mwalimu hata hakuwa na kijiti.
Kimanzi agonizes the blow for the family with a son passing away at such a young age, having invested so much on him. His wish is that the national government would compensate him for the death of his son.
Kifa akiwa na miaka kama hiyo 29 kwetu ni pigo kubwa, hata pia kwa serikali. Sasa ndio tunauliza serikali iangalie, na si kuangalia, iangalie na tekeleze compensation yake. Maana tulikuwa tunatajiria kwamba ni mtoto atafanya kazi na atusaidie, akijisaidia mwenyewe.
Kimanzi describes his last born as a very calm young man who got along well with everyone and also very supportive to his parents. The deceased elder brother Victor Mutinda recalls the last moments he shared with his brother before his return to Garissa.
Wakati alikuwa anaenda, tulikuwa tunakaa na yeye, hata hiyo mboma yake tulikuwa tunakaa na yeye kila siku. Akinieleza mambo mingi ya vile mtu anaweza kupata vitu. Alafu wakati alikuwa anaenda, aliniambia tukae vizuri. Atakunja mwezi wa 4 na atakunja na mambo mengine mpya.
Mutinda laments that his late brother was his only hope of bettering his life, as he had promised to buy a motorbike for him to start a transport business. He has further urged the government to quickly act and curb the rising insecurity, where numerous numbers of lives have been lost following such terrifying attacks. Mwingi North Member of Parliament Paul Nzengu, who consoled with the family, condemned the heinous act, terming the killing as an act of cowardice.
The Al-Shabaab people know where the front lines are, know where the military installations are. Why can't they target people who are armed like themselves, rather than killing an innocent person who is not a fighter in any way?
Zengu, however, urged all leaders to speak in one voice in a bid to ensure that such acts of cruelty are stopped and people are free to work anywhere within the country. He further called upon the government to ensure the affected families are compensated. Samuel was killed alongside 2 other teachers. Among the other 2 was Caleb Mutua, who also hails from Akuka village, Kitui County.
Na sisi ninatajaria tujipiwe sisi kama familia. Tujue ni nani anastahili kulipa Samuel. Manake alikuwa ameajiriwa na serikali na ni kazi ya serikali kumulinda. Na tunaona ulinzi au kuweko kamilifu.
During a meeting that brought together top security teams in the country on Wednesday, Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i released the plans outlining 10 focus points that will be prioritized in making Kenya a better place between 2020 and 2021. The CS warned Kenyans sheltering criminal and terrorist gangs, saying security agencies would not spare them. Diana Rachel Mbogwa, Ebru TV.
Thank you, Diana, for that update. Since 2011, all hasn't been well. Avengement attacks by Al-Shabaab militants since the KDF were deployed in October 2011. The government remains with the option of how to withdraw the Kenyan troops. Was there an exit strategy to put them at the border instead of in southern Somalia, where they have significantly gained grounds against Al-Shabaab militants? Another story in regard to that, in line with that, with Wilson Sossion speaking against the arming of teachers, is coming up next after this break. But in the meanwhile, coming up next on News Compass, Ben Mulwa is in here. He doesn't have the mic apparently, but KK will be coming here to mic him up. We have a discussion after the news from 9:35 onwards, and equally we expect to be joined by the Member of Parliament Saboti constituency, Caleb Hamisi, on ODM ticket to look at the BBI and what it entails for Kenyans. A new dawn or yet another false start. Stay tuned. This is the Primetime News. We are back after the break. Thank you and welcome back. You are watching the Primetime News. We cherish your company here on the program. Now, the Kenya National Union of Teachers report here, which is against the arming of teachers, is a story coming up next. But arming teachers is not a lasting solution to the frequent attacks against teachers in Garissa County and largely the frontier counties. These are the sentiments of the Kenya National Union of Teachers Secretary General Wilson Sossion, who says that hundreds of teachers have vacated Garissa County following the Al-Shabaab attack where 3 non-local teachers were killed.
Garissa County has for the past 5 years experienced attacks from Al-Shabaab militants that has left a dozen dead. Following the attacks, the education sector in the region has been paralyzed on numerous occasions, and Monday's incident that left 3 teachers dead made an already bad situation worse.
Walimu ambao walioko hizi sehemu waweze kupewa bunduki, hao wenyewe wawe kama police reservists. Yes. Na hii si ajabu, hapa mbeleni tunasema kwamba askari wa kawaida wapewe bunduki.
Recommended that teachers in northern Kenya and other harsh areas should be armed. We wish to state very clearly here today that nowhere in the world, and would like to be proved, nowhere in the world are teachers armed. Never.
Some stakeholders have already suggested that the teachers be armed to forestall any further attacks. However, the Kenya National Union of Teachers, Wilson Sosion, has maintained that teachers' safety should come first and arming them is not the solution.
And that is why teachers are frightened and they have panicked. That hundreds of teachers have actually vacated those areas. And you can go and witness for yourselves at the Teacher Service Commission, and many of them have notified us of their exit from those areas since yesterday, or since the last 3 days.
Sosion says the only lasting solution to areas like the northern region is training graduates from the region.
And we are still recommending that the 3,000 school leavers who had been identified, recruited, and commenced teacher training courses through in-service program. This country has done it in the past, and they're already available in the classrooms, should be deployed as quickly as possible.
Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha has remarked that residents of the Mandi attack were aware of an imminent threat, a notion that Sosion has rubbished.
The only security assurance all over the world for teachers is for them to be created from those communities and to teach within those communities.
Abdikadir Ebru TV.
Yeah, you'll get copies. No.
Now, an international human rights body claims that lack of accountability for serious human rights violations by security forces, including extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances, remain a major concern in the country. Human Rights Watch says that despite promises by President Uhuru Kenyatta to address key issues, including those that have in the past undermined Kenya's ability to hold peaceful elections, Kenyan authorities failed to investigate security forces' abuses, including extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances, and to hold those responsible to account. Benjamin Mwaka lays out that report.
The report released in New York on Tuesday said that while senior government officials, including President Kenyatta, publicly promised to respect freedom of expression and media, the working environment for bloggers, journalists, and activists remains hostile. The report also says that in Lamu, Kenyan security forces harassed and detained activists expressing rights concerns relating to the government's massive infrastructure development projects, accusing some as terrorists. Further, the report also accuses Kenyan authorities of continued abuse evictions of people from the Masai Mara forests. The report also accused the government of not taking action against perpetrators of election violence, despite documentation and investigations into the violence during the 2017-2018 elections, in which more than 100 people were killed. The government has yet to bring charges against any security officers. A government inquest into the killings of 9-month-old baby Samantha Pendo in Kisumu and 9-year-old Stephanie Moraa in Nairobi found at least 5 senior police commanders and other government officials responsible for the abuses, but authorities are yet to hold anyone to account for the killings. In 2015, President Kenyatta announced plans to establish a restorative 10 billion Kenya shillings fund for victims of rights abuses, including the 2007-2008 post-election violence, but did not set up the fund until April and had yet to make any payouts by the time of publishing the report.
The next story is an important one by our health affairs reporter, Winnie Lubembe. Often people set goals when the year starts, and this includes a raft or a sort of a cocktail of how this happens across many parts of the country. And this is a story that we are going to be taking, which is happening in Samburu County, as people often set goals, with most common being to live a healthy lifestyle. A number of people from Samburu County have turned to herbal clinics for body cleansing in order to live a healthy life. This has been made possible by Good Care Herbal in the county, the only clinic that offers detoxification services to patients within Maralal town and Samburu County. Here's that report by Winnie Lubembe.
Accumulation of toxins in the body is caused by body organs such as liver, kidney or skin that is not performing its functions as required. Mr. Joseph Lewaran, who regularly visits the clinic for body cleansing to relieve himself from weak joint pains, says he has noticed the difference with detoxification.
Naumwa na mgongo, naumwa na joints yote, kila pale ilikuwa inaniuma, hata vidole. Hata kama sasa hii mikono, nilikuwa nasikia uchungu, huku yote, miguu pia inafura. Na nilipokuja, hiyo uchungu ilikuwa inaniingilia sana sababu kwanza wakati wa baridi, msimu wa mvua, mimi nilikuwa naumia sana. Lakini bahati mzuri nilipata tu huyo mzee, akanieleza ya kwamba hebu jaribu pia kwenda kwa Good Care Herbal Clinic na usaidiwe pale. Na nikakuja hapa hivi na nikasaidika.
Ann Karie, an officer serving at Good Herbal Clinic, says detoxification is a healthy practice to remove toxins from the body.
Hii njia ya iron cleansing ama body detoxification inahusu kusafisha mwili. Zile uchafu hazitoki kabisa kutoka kwa mwili kwa kupitia njia ya kutoa jasho. Hizo ndizo hiyo iron cleansing inasafisha. Inatoa mauchafu zote zenye figo, maini, hizo viungo zote za mwili hazitoi.
Ms. Karie said detoxification cleanses the dirty stomach, relieves people from lack of sleep and cleans uric acid from joints.
Jaribu kuzuia hizi uchafu kwa kuishi maisha healthy. Kwa mfano tunakunywa maji safi, tunakula chakula healthy na kukaa kwa environment yenye haina pollution sana, sababu pia hewa huchangia hizo toxins kwa mwili, na pia kuishi maisha healthy, kulala vizuri, avoiding stressful things kama vile kukasirika hivi, pia hiyo inachangia hiyo uchovu kwa mwili sana na inasababisha pia toxins kwa mwili.
She has advised people to prevent accumulation of toxins in their bodies by living a healthy lifestyle, by eating a good diet and drinking clean water. A variety of detoxification diets, regimens and therapies have been suggested as ways to remove toxins from the body, lose weight or promote health. However, because detox has become such a massive health buzzword, the term is unfortunately used to sell a lot of products and services with no basis in science. Winnie Lubembe for Ebru TV.
Thank you, Winnie. We head to business. The Kenya Power is on the spot after local contractors accused the company of awarding multi-billion tender to foreign firms at their expense. Several contractors under the Energy Sector Contractors Association are seeking to stop the award of a 6 billion Kenya shillings tender to construct power substation and transmission lines.
According to an application filed at the Public Procurement Administrative Review Board, the contractors say requirements in the request for bids were designed to lock out local contractors in favor for international bidders. In the tender document, Kenya Power had specified a requirement limiting bidding to firms with an average turnover of 1.8 billion shillings over the past 5 years. The tender also required bidders to have successfully completed the construction of 3 substation extensions and at least 50 kilometers of 132 kilovolt double circuit lines. According to ESCA, no Kenyan company has ever been awarded such projects, even as local contractors have been subcontracted to carry out the same works in the country. ESCA argues that the new requirements curtail competition and lock out local bidders, contrary to the Constitution. The contractors want the tender cancelled on the grounds that Kenya Power has failed to promote national values and principles provided under Article 10 of the Constitution and promotion of local industry. Kenya Power has denied allegations of bias against local firms, stating that the project had been funded on a bilateral agreement between the Kenyan government and the French Development Agency, who dictated the bidding criteria. For Ebru News, Musa Amir.
Thank you, Moses. The government says 228 of the 1,370 available affordable housing units being developed in Ngara, Nairobi County, are ready to be handed over to their new tenants. The 228 units were handed over to the Public Works Principal Secretary Gordon Kihalangwa by the contractor, the China State Corporation.
Speaking earlier today at Park Road in Ngara, Housing and Urban Development Permanent Secretary Charles Henga said the allocation of houses was yet to be done, although the process of selecting the residents had been completed. He observed that the houses will be distributed using an automated system to ensure transparency.
The allocation of the housing units for this project has not taken place, but is set to begin in earnest very soon. The purchase allocation policy that will guide this process is complete and will be published imminently across all media platforms. My assurance to you is that the allocation will be automated to ensure an inclusive, fair, equitable, accountable, and transparent process.
The PS also said that other projects in the capital will break ground in the first quarter of the year. The projects are in low-income areas and targeted at bettering the living conditions of the residents in the low-income areas.
In addition to the Park Road project, we have other projects in the pipeline on national government land. These include Starehe and Shauri Moyo projects, which will be breaking ground in the first quarter of this calendar year. To be precise, we are finalizing the evaluation process and the winning bidder will be announced in the coming weeks. This will bring online about 8,000 housing units within the proximity of our CBDs.
In addition to affordable housing, Mr. Henga added that the ministry was also building civil servant residences and that they'd sold a few units in various towns across the country.
We have various civil servant housing scheme projects across the country. In Kisumu, we have completed and we have sold about 50% of 250 units to civil servants. In Machakos, we have completed 152 units.
Over 500,000 houses are set to be constructed in different counties by the government under the Affordable Housing Project as part of the implementation of the Big Four agenda. For Ebru News, I'm Musa Amir.
In sports, Harambee Starlets coach David Ouma has revealed that at least 4 players in his squad have sailed lucrative professional deals with European clubs in Europe. Been nominated for the coach of the year slot this year in the category of the upcoming Sawyer Awards and has confirmed that first rising duo of Mona Halima Adam and Vivian Corazon will be traveling abroad to sign deals with their top clubs in Sweden and Portugal respectively. This comes as a sigh of relief and a positive for the country's women team, and equally Pauline Gotzi, who also landed a deal in Cyprus. The coach has also led the country to the triumph in the recently concluded Sekafa Women's Championship in Tanzania, where the Kenya football team Harambee Starlets were the champions.
If, for example, you ask me what will be my next call-ups, of course, I also as a coach, I'll be waiting for the international players to arrive. So this is something to motivate us. I give a rallying call because these players have gotten a good experience. They are competitive enough. So if these intermediaries are involved, especially they are registered by the federation, I would like them to understand that the players, especially those that have been doing duty for the nation, they have to see a good club and get a contract to the players directly. This motivates them that for sure they are at the high cluster for playing for our country.
We are done with the news, and coming up next is News Compass seated on the other end of our studios. The ODM Member of Parliament, Saboti constituency, Caleb Amisi is on set, and equally political commentator Ben Mulwa will be putting into context the BBI debate, the upcoming Bukhungu, that is Saturday 18th January 2020 summit. Some say the other end of the Mumia summit was cancelled by police over security concerns, and we will see, and I'll ask them whether President Uhuru Kenyatta and the ODM leader Raila Odinga can bridge over troubled waters as the handshake continues to provoke passion across the country. The hashtag on Twitter is News Compass, and I'm coming back with them after this break. Stay tuned.